Good day to all of you. My name is James Andre T. Pasco, and my partner is Gabriel N. Tomagos. And we would like to present our memory placement simulation program presentation. To recall the project requirement, let us know what those are. The first is to indicate the user input for the memory size. Next is for the number of processes and measures. Well, those are the block and memory size to be exact. And the last one is the time units. This program's design is inspired by the previous lectures that we learned from the first year. We want to make this program happen by making the user choose options, and after the selected option is finished, it will return to the first phase, which is to choose.
To make this happen, we would like to give credit to the following websites. The first is from jap.io and Tutorials on Point for providing us with an explanation of what is the best fit algorithm that composes the user's inputs, blocks, and processes. Also, it gives the allocation and its external and internal fragmentation, which is a part of the next step that requires compaction and time units. Lastly, give credit to the famous known coding websites such as the GitHub and Geeks for Geeks, which are the keys for us to provide an answer to utilizing and creating the compaction time and coalescing. Going further, let us start with the first plan, which is the best fit. From the word best fit, it deals with the better or best memory allocated during requests. Within its implementation, this method prioritizes the smallest block that could fulfill the request by its respective processes. Now, my partner, Andre, will be the one who will be demonstrating the program for the algorithm.
Thank you for that, Gabriel. Let us move to the objectives of the first algorithm. Before we apply the time compaction and coalescing, we as partners discuss that showcasing the allocation first and also fragmentation using the best fit algorithm. For this input, you will expect the following. First is the user input for blocks and processes, the matrix for allocating the two mentioned items, and lastly, to print out the external and internal fragmentation. First, we choose the first option simply by pressing 1. Then, as we recall, it asks for input. We set the limit of blocks to 5 and set those sizes to 500, 400, 300, 200, and 100 bytes. For the number of processes, we put it to 4 and set its allocation. The following processes that we use are 70, 120, 250, and lastly 280. As we press enter, we can see that the process of 280 responds to 400 bytes. That is because we have placed an input of both numbers within the range of 300 bytes, which are the 280 and the 250. 280, the highest, is placed under 400 bytes, and 250 is placed in 300 bytes. The rest are paired to the bytes, wherein they are near on range. Process of 120 to 200 bytes, and process 70 to 100 bytes. Thus, the internal fragmentation was formed because by subtracting the process from bytes, because it produces free allocated spaces, and the available memory is printed out to 500, because there are no assigned process within it.
To know more about internal fragmentation and external fragmentation, internal fragmentation occurs when the memory block size assigned is more significant than the process, while external fragmentation occurs when the block size is only enough to fit in the request. Thus, this fragmentation would be only reduced by using the following requirement: the compaction to be applied in the next algorithm first fit.
Next is the first fit algorithm. This algorithm uses a method that, from its sequential pattern, it chooses the very first process to compare with the block size. If it fits, it will accept. If it not, if it is not, it will move to the next block and so on. Now that we choose the following option, number 2, it would be the same. It will ask for the memory block number and size. However, this time, when we input processes, we can see a time unit between them. So let me put the blocks first and those sizes. That is to determine the intervals between blocks and also to include the compaction and coalescing. So as I repeat, for our input, we place 500, 400, 300, 200, 100 bytes for blocks. And for process and time units, I place the process as 80 with 15 time units. Next is 200 with 20 time unit, 250 to 30, and 280 to 35 time units. For the time compaction and coalescing, I place 10 for compaction first and 15 for the coalescing. And as I press enter, thus it concludes that we could see the allocated process, the number of the compaction use, and the coalescing.
The use of compaction is to combine the processes and push them forward, leading to a free space on the back, while the coalescing is to find those free adjacent holes, and within those holes, if the memory no longer requires it, would make it accessible and use it as an available memory. Thus, in our recent run, we can see that we only found only 3 coalescing and there are none for compaction.
And that's all for our demonstration. Once again, my name is James Andre T. Pasco, and together with my partner Gabriel Tomagos, we greet you, sir, with a lovely day.